Hello friends! Today I want to talk to you about my plans for 2023 in my two main categories of my YouTube life. So, reading and creativity. Since this is primarily a booktube channel, we're going to start with my reading plans for the year. Last year, I set my Goodreads goal at 40 books, which I did meet and surpass, with finishing a total of 43 books last year, which is the most books I've ever read in a year. But by having such a large goal and by reading as many books as I did, I also found myself always just reaching for the smaller books on my shelves or on my want to read list just to ensure that I was going to meet that goal. So this year I actually set my Goodreads goal to one book, which I've already met. That means all other books that I read this year will simply be bonus reads. And I did this for one reason. And I did it so that I could give myself the mental freedom to finally choose to pick up some of these bigger books that I've wanted to read for over the last few years, but I never do because I always feel like I need to reach my Goodreads goal, even though it's a limit that I put on myself anyway, so nobody's actually pressuring me but myself, but the pressure was there nonetheless. So this year I decided to just remove it. Try it out and just remove it. So no more Goodreads goal, at least not this year. Who knows what'll happen next year. But this year, Goodreads goal has already been met. I am going to count any book that's 500 pages or more as a big book. I know that may not be a big book to you, but it is to me. My average book is usually around like 350 pages, so 500 and up can be a big chunker for me. So I have narrowed down my top list to 6 priority reads of these big books or big books in a series list. So here they are. The top 6 books that I will read at some point this year. The first one being Babel by R.F. Kuang. I actually pre-ordered this last year and have yet to read it. And from what I'm hearing from everyone else, it seems to be a very dense book that I'm really going to need to take my time with. And so now I have the time to do that. The next one is Mistborn, or The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn trilogy by Sanderson. My first, and so far only, Sanderson book that I've ever read was Elantris. And I read it, pretty sure I read it back in 2020. So it's been a good 3 years since I've read my last Sanderson. And I really, really enjoyed that, and I've been wanting more of his books since then. But one, all of his books are big books. And he also has so many books in series to choose from that it was just so intimidating trying to pick the next one to read. And so I just never did. And over the years of me both asking around and just hearing what other people have to say, people, for the most part, agree that the Mistborn is kind of where you should start. So that's where I am starting. And that's actually my first big book of the year because it's my current read. So I'm already on to one of my top reads this year. Third book is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is the biggest book on my list, with Goodreads giving it 827 pages. I'm not entirely sure what this book is about. I just know that it's a high, maybe epic fantasy with dragons. And I have really been loving dragons lately, so we're going to give it a go. Next is Blood Mercy by Vela Roth. This is an adult fantasy with, I think, some political or court intrigue with these vampire-like creatures. I don't know, it's a chunky one, and I've heard really, really good things about it, so I want to read it. Next is The Assassin's Apprentice by Hobb. This is a fantasy book that has been raved about, and even though I'm not, again, another one I'm not entirely certain what the plot is about, I just know that people really, really love it. And this is not itself a big book, but it is the first book in a very big series, and many of the books within this series are big, chunky books. So if I like this one and I continue on with the series, it's going to be a commitment. Right, and then lastly, I have Master of Sorrows by Justin Call. This is the start of a villain origin story that is supposed to develop over the course of 3 planned quartets. So if it continues on, this will be a 12 big book commitment. But again, I've heard really, really good things about it, and I'm excited to read it. And all of these, with the exception of Babel, because that's a new release that came out just last year, but all the rest of these, they've been on my list for at least 2 years, if not longer. So I'm ready for this year to be about all the books that I have been wanting to read, but for whatever reason have not. And that also includes other books as well. So obviously I'm going to most likely read more than just these 6 books this year. But I've also compiled a list of books. So I went through all of my Goodreads want to read list. And I went through and I wrote down all the ones that I know that I really, really want to read. And so I've compiled a list of, I think, 50 of those books. So anytime I'm not reading books that are on my shelves that I own, or one of these 6 big books, I am going to focus my priorities on reading the books on that list, because I know those are the ones that I've really been wanting to read. So those are my book plans, which are to just read the books that I want to read. Surprise. But big books. Big books. That is this year. This year is the year of big books. So now let's move on to some of my creative plans for this year. Alright, let's start with sort of my personal creative plans. This year I really want to focus on learning stump work embroidery. And stump work is a 3D form of embroidery. So it can be either just raised embroidery sticking out of fabric, and it can also be completely freestanding 3D thread sculptures, and I want to learn both of those. And I've been wanting to do it for a couple of years now. More than a year ago, it's probably closer to 2 years now, I have already bought 2 stump work kits to help me learn this. Have I done any of them? No. I also bought a course on Domestika to learn stump work embroidery, which I have watched all the videos in that course, but have I done the course project? No. But this year, I want to do at least one of those 3 things, either one of the 2 kits or the project in the course. The 2 kits I have are both from Lemon Pepper Studios. who I highly encourage you to check out on Instagram because she is an incredible artist. But I have the fly agaric. It's the red mushroom. I don't know how to say it. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's the red fairy mushroom. And the anemone flower kit. So I've had those for a while. Like I said, haven't touched them, but really, really, really want to. And then this is the Domestico course that I bought, and I will link all of this stuff down in the description if you are interested in it. But my goal, I highly doubt I'm going to be able to do all 3 of these this year. We'll see, because it is a very slow process, and it's even slower when I do it. So I imagine it'll be one of the 2 kits, as kits come with everything that I need to get started, whereas the course project, I'll have to find and buy supplies to do it. But in any case, these 3 things are my main creative goal for the year, at least personally. So I do have some businessy / Etsy shop plans, though I'm going to keep it very, very vague because I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to commit to doing this. But I'm going to put it out there anyway and just see what happens. I want to slowly start to introduce some actual physical products to the Etsy shop. Alongside, of course, keep the digital patterns as well. But I have ideas that I want to work on, and I have technically already started on one of those ideas, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you will be getting a studio vlog of that in the coming few weeks. So again, vague. I don't want to commit too much because I don't know how sustainable that would be for me. Embroidery itself, hand embroidery, is a very slow process in general, and it's even slower with me doing it. So again, I don't know how sustainable this will be, but I'm gonna give it a try and just see how it goes. Alright friends, those are all the things I want to accomplish this year. And if you've made it this far, leave me the handwriting emoji for listing all of our plans for the year. And if you're willing, I would love you to also share with me what your plans for this year are. As always, I thank you so much for being here, and I hope that means I see you soon.